Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Just Reading. So today we're talking audiobooks, and I have found 3 really good ones from one of our favorite authors, Ruby Dixon. So the title for the series is Aspect and Anchor series, and there are 3 that are already out on audio. And there is a 4th one that's not yet released on audio. That one's called Servant to the Spidey, book 4. But these 3 you can find the audio versions for. So I have read Wed to the Wild God, the physical copy. And then I have listened to the audio version. And I have the audio versions of both Bound to the Battle God and Sworn to the Shadow God. Now, these are found on Audible and Scribd. So if you're able to, and you're subscribed to either one of those platforms, you can find these there. So book 1, let's chit chat about it a little bit to get you curious and to whet your appetite and see if you'd like to pick them up. Book 1 follows Kassam, and he is the wild god. Like, he's the god of nature, and Carly. And what I loved about how Ruby Dixon describes Kassam, like, he's POC. Like, they talk about his dark skin, and at one point, he says, like, brown is the color of the earth. Like, why wouldn't I be that color? Like, it's just nothing, but it's like an aside. It doesn't, it's not hyper focused on or anything, but I thought that was like really nice. And, it reminded me, the description that Ruby Dixon put in the story actually reminded me a little bit of some of those Greek mythology kind of fables with why can't I think of it? But it's like the nature of people, like he has vines in his hair, and he doesn't have a tail, but his legs are like hooves. Like, he embodies the wilderness and the wild, and I thought that was so cool. So Carly finds him in an alleyway. She's a bartender, and she finds Kassam in an alleyway, and he's bloody, right? He's bleeding. And he reaches out, like he's stretching his arm out to her. This is one of the opening scenes of how they meet. I guess they're meet cute. And she touches his hand. Unknowingly, the minute she touches him, she binds herself to him as his anchor. And that's his way of staying in the mortal realm, because he was kicked out of, like, let's call it his god plane, right? So now he's bound to her once they touch. So he's able to stay in the mortal realm. He doesn't have his full powers because he's not on his plane of existence. He only has access to some of his powers, but if he uses his power, it hurts Carly. So he doesn't use his powers very much. So he got sent down in the world that Ruby Dixon's created. Like, the gods, there are like I want to say 10 or 11 of them, and they have these things called anticipations, where the High Father, which is like the OG god, like he's the one that's above all of them, he wants them to be more than what they are. And so when they like get out of order, like naughty children, as a punishment, he like throws them down to the mortal realm, and they have to exist on this plane and learn lessons from humans, and they have to be anchored to a human. But he doesn't stop there. He also splits their personalities into the 4 most offensive and base aspects of their personalities. He splits them into. And so Kassam, when he meets Carly, he is in the aspect of hedonism. And so he basically embodies all things hedonistic, most of all, lust. And so he affects everything and everyone around him, especially Carly. And so, of course, we have the spice, and the spice, is always nice, right? So there's spice in this, quite a bit actually of spice. But kudos to Ruby Dixon's writing. It's not overdone. It's not something that makes you roll your eyes and you're like, oh my god, another scene. It's pretty well done. It flows well with the story, so you might not be as bothered by it as you think you would be. So the adventure or the quest is for them to find a way to basically get Kassan back home. And he was betrayed also by a fellow god or goddess. And so he wants revenge. And so Carly and he embark on an adventure to get him home without hurting her. They're still connected, and they have to find a way to get him back to his own world, get him back to his god plane where he can get all his powers back, and do it in a way that will not cost Carly. And so that's where their adventure comes in. And there's a bit of, they do make it back to Eos, which is the name of his world, not Earth. And so they do make it back there. There's a little bit of world building once they get there. We learn more about it. We learn more about the gods, the folklore, the anticipation, which is that event that affects them all. We find out how he was betrayed, and we even follow along as he goes about seeking vengeance. And that was really nice. Of course, Carly and Kassan get their happily ever after. And then we get a really cute little bonus scene at the end that like shows how they're living once everything's all sorted out and settled. And that was always nice, right? And then snippets of Sworn to the Shadow God. That one follows he's the god of the underworld, Ragos, and Max, that's the heroine, and she is she's an interesting character. She is sassy, she's a gamer, she loves video games, she loves quests. So when she gets thrown into this new world and this new situation, she decides to face it as if it's a quest, like one of her gamer quests that she has to embark on and just beat or win, basically. And she and Ragos, they go on, and the way that they connect is interesting because Ragos had a hand to play in that. Like he did something kind of underhanded to like get thrown back into the anticipation, and that was interesting and a fun read. And what I can say about these books, they're all unique in the way they're written. So sometimes when you read a series, certain things can be a bit repetitive. Not so in this case. It's really nicely done. Like each couple's story is told in such a way that it makes it unique, and it makes you identify and connect with each character as they're going through the story. Bound to the Basil God, this one follows the god of war. So the god of war, he during his anticipation, um, the the female character, her name is so his name is Cleaver. No, Aaron of the Cleaver. And he is the god of war in Eos, and storms, the god of war and the god of storms, right? I was gonna say the god of weather, but it's storms. And the female character is Faith. So Faith, she gets pulled in. it actually reminds me of Narnia. Maybe when Ruby was writing the story, she was like thinking of Narnia when the kids got pulled into the closet. But Faith gets pulled into Eos from her apartment, an empty apartment in her building that's next to hers. She's hearing sounds. She thinks she's going crazy. She goes to investigate, opens up a door, and literally just falls into a new world, falls into Eos. And from there, she ends up being enslaved and taken to the temple, a temple for a celebration for the god of battle. And there, the anticipation starts, and Erin basically shows up, and the shenanigans begin. She's over all of it. She doesn't want to be there. She hates it there. And she's just like, I'm gonna bind myself to him without actually knowing that she's binding herself and becoming an anchor that could very well not end well for her. She has no clue, but she binds herself to him, and she says, I'm gonna find a way to get out of here. So I'm gonna find the biggest and the strongest, and I'm just gonna go with it. And then the adventure begins, and they're trying to find a way to get Aaron back to his plane, and she's trying to find a way home, and they all are doing all the things, and it's fantastic. And again, for each one, like, you go through and you discover more about Eos, more about the world that the gods come from, and all of these women, they leave Earth and they join their gods in Eos, and it's just really fun to see. And so hopefully this kind of like got you, thinking and going and thinking. If you've never heard it before, if you've never heard of the series before, give it a shot. It's really great that these three are already in audio version, so I hope you guys like it. All three of them have spice. So, do with that what you will, but it's a great, great story. And you guys, if you've ever read a Ruby Dixon novel or book, she knows how to tell a good story. Okay. All right. Well, have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. And as always, just keep on reading. Bye now.